The lock clicked wrong. That was the first thing I noticed. Not the way her key stopped halfway, not the way she tried again harder, like force could correct reality, but the sound, metal meeting metal that no longer recognized each other. I stood inside the living room, lights off, watching her through the narrow slit of the blinds. She laughed into her phone, a sharp, performative laugh, the kind meant to reassure the person on the other end that everything was under control. It wasn't. Her smile faded when she realized no one was coming to open the door. She knocked, soft at first, polite, then louder, then desperate. I checked the time, 5:42. She was early. The watch on my wrist caught the last of the afternoon sun, heavy, precise, quiet. It didn't tick, it moved with purpose. My phone buzzed in my pocket, her name. I didn't answer. Outside, she stepped back and looked at the yard. That's when she saw it, the white sign staked into the grass like a gravestone. For sale. She stood there longer than necessary, as if staring could reverse cause and effect. I didn't feel triumph, just calm, the kind that comes when the equation finally balances. It hadn't started with the ultimatum. That was just the punctuation mark at the end of a sentence she'd been writing for months. The real beginning was subtler. Late replies, muted phone calls, a sudden interest in privacy disguised as self-care. She started measuring affection in objects. Dinners became expectations, gifts became obligations, love became leverage. Then came the sentence she thought would bend me. "If you don't buy me a Rolex for my birthday," she said, casual, scrolling through her phone, "I'm going on a girls' trip to Miami, and I won't pick up the phone." She didn't look at me when she said it. That was the tell. I felt something move inside my chest, not anger, recognition. I had seen this tactic before. Silence as punishment, distance as currency. She expected panic, negotiation, submission. I gave her none of it. "Have a blast," I said. She looked up then, confused, almost offended. That night she slept beside me like nothing had changed, her breathing steady, practiced. I stared at the ceiling and replayed everything I had ignored, the unexplained charges, the Miami search history, the way her friends suddenly knew more about our relationship than I did. This wasn't about a watch, it was about control, and I had already decided I wasn't playing defense anymore. I didn't confront her, I observed, I became quieter, more agreeable, I paid attention to patterns instead of promises. I memorized her routines, not her excuses. When she left her phone charging, I didn't touch it, I didn't need to. Notifications tell stories even when unopened. A name kept appearing. Initials at first, then full words, inside jokes, hotel emojis, a plane. Miami wasn't a threat, it was a plan already in motion. I pulled bank statements, not to accuse, just to understand. The withdrawals lined up with her girls' nights, the receipts told me more than she ever had. I scheduled the locksmith while she was at work, scheduled the realtor an hour later, scheduled my own silence indefinitely. Packing her things wasn't emotional, it was logistical. I folded carefully, not out of respect, for efficiency. I labeled the boxes, shoes with shoes, dresses with dresses. Control is easiest when emotions stay out of the way. By the time she texted me a heart emoji from the office, her access to my life was already expired. I went to the boutique alone, tried on the watch slowly, deliberately. The salesman smiled like he knew something. Maybe he did. The receipt printed clean. No hesitation, no doubt. I walked out wearing the watch she thought was her reward. When she came home, I watched her discover the truth piece by piece. The lock, the sign, the silence. She called, texted, voicemailed apologies that sounded like negotiations. I stepped outside finally. She turned fast, eyes wide, shock cracking through her composure. "What is this?" she demanded. I didn't answer immediately. I held up my wrist instead. Her eyes followed the motion. The recognition landed hard. "You bought it," she whispered. For yourself." I nodded. The realization hollowed her out. The trip, the threat, the leverage, all suddenly useless. She understood then. I had heard her. I had believed her, and I had acted accordingly. "You can't just do this," she said. Her voice shook now. "I already did." She tried anger, then tears, then nostalgia. I stayed still. I handed her the box with her packed life inside. Not violently, not dramatically, methodically. "You knew I'd come back," she said. "No," I corrected. "You knew I would wait." That one hurt her more. The house wasn't ours anymore. The future wasn't either. I didn't raise my voice, didn't explain myself. I didn't need to. She stood there surrounded by consequences she thought were impossible. That was the punishment. Later, alone in the empty house, I listened to the silence she used to threaten me with. It didn't hurt, it clarified. I sold the place within weeks, changed cities, changed routines, not to escape, but to conclude. The watch still sits heavy on my wrist, not a symbol of wealth, a reminder. Ultimatums only work when someone is afraid to lose you. I wasn't afraid. I was already gone.